Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 256. I'm Lisa, also known as Fibernymph on Ravelry. I have a Fibernymph account on Instagram as well as a Fibernymph Dyeworks account on Instagram. There is a 90% knitting group on Ravelry, which is where I will post show notes for this episode. There's also a Fibernymph Dyeworks group on Ravelry for information about shop updates and things like that related to my yarn. And lastly, there's a Fibernymph Dyeworks page on Facebook, which is a place I post things about both the podcast and the shop. And I'm a little distracted because first of all, I've been trying to find a good place to set up outside, like for a half hour. I had the perfect spot, and then our next door neighbor decided to start running his weed eater, like right on the other side of our fence. So that wasn't going to work. I tried to outweight him. But yeah, in the meantime, as soon as I sat down and started to record over there, before the weed eater started, I noticed Tippy was outside, and we don't let Tippy outside yet because she's still small, so we've been trying to keep her in the house. And I thought, crap, she got out like when I was coming outside or something. So I set about a chase. It took 5 minutes, no lie. I chased her over into the trees and everywhere, and it was really funny because at one point she loves climbing trees when she does get out. She climbed up this tree, about halfway up this one pine tree, and then she's like, oh, I have to get down. And she couldn't quite figure that out, and so she walked out on a limb, and then she did one of those whoop, and she was hanging underneath by all four legs. It looked like a comic. It was comic. It was funny. And she's hanging there, and I knew she wasn't going to be able to hold on, and then she let go with her back leg, so she's just hanging there with her front paws, kind of like that motivational poster with the kitten hanging like that, where it says, hang in there, baby. Well, and she dropped, and she was fine, and then she took off again, like nothing slows her down. So I chased her around the yard for a good 5 minutes, finally caught her, and put her back in the house. Made sure that the door was latched, and then set about trying to find a quieter place to do this recording. So I'm wandering all around outside, and I'm sitting in different places trying to see if the light's good, and the cats are all just looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, why are you out here with that machine? What are you know? It's confusing them. And so I finally decided, okay, I'm going to set up here. I'm on this swing. I'm in the front yard today. And I've thought about trying to record in the front yard before. My biggest hesitation, aside from, noise from either yard on either side of us, because our neighbors aren't super, super close, so it usually works out okay. But you've probably noticed, like, there was a fence behind me. Okay, so I'm on my swing, my yard swing. And then there's like a wire fence, which is usually electric, but it's not right now because parts of it are down. So there's that, and then there's probably about 15 feet between that and the wooden fence that's back there. And that wooden fence is right up against the road. And so you can see cars going back and forth. We're not on a main road, but it's a fairly well-traveled road just because it takes you from certain places. All roads do that, right? Oh my gosh. The destinations you can get to if you are on this road, people travel a lot. But I waited until later in the morning. It's like almost 10 o'clock now. But even when I first came out, it was past rush hour. And so it's not like it's a main highway or anything. But, it's a well-traveled road. And I thought, well, it's a little later in the morning. Maybe there won't be a lot of road noise. So we'll see. This may be the last time I record from this spot. But it was a nice day out, and I just really wanted to take advantage of that. My face looks very blown out from right here, and I'm going to try not to swing too much here. Maybe if I bring the camera closer, I don't know. Yeah, we're just giving it a shot. In the meantime, I sat down here to start recording, and suddenly there's Tippy running around again. And that's when I realized Tippy has figured out how to use the cat door. Because the front door is latched nice and snug. She could not have gotten out behind me because I watched. I actually sat her up on this ledge that we have before I came out the door, so it would have taken her a minute to get down. Yeah, she's figured out the cat door. This is going to be awesome. She's a cat, and she can go in and out. That's fine. I hope she knows how to go back in the cat door. Actually, I don't know that she does. But we just worry about her because she's little. And even though, like I said, we have fencing, the wood fence doesn't go the whole way around the property. But the wire fence does. But again, it's down in places. She is tearing. Oh, there. She's like in the tree behind me. Can you see her? Right there. That's Tippy. Oh, yeah. I noticed after I recorded the prize drawing announcement podcast last week when I was recording that, as I was processing it, I realized there was Tippy cameos in the back because she was jumping up on the hearth and eating because we keep some of the cat food dishes right there. Anyway, so you'll probably see her tearing around behind me, apparently, because I'm not going to bother chasing her yet again and putting her back in because she's just going to get out again. And I can't latch the cat door because then the other cats can't get in and out. So she's just going to have to relax. She's going to take a really, really good nap later on, though. I can tell you that because she is just being crazy and now she's under the swing. I know, I'm 6 minutes in and all I've talked about is this cat, and now my neighbor is weed whacking again. It's a perfect day. Thankfully, however, I don't actually have a lot of content for you today. Oh gosh, okay. One of the other cats is in a tree outside between the two fences. Like, they're not supposed to be able to get out there. And it's my fault that part of the fence is down because when we were working on the pad for where that new building went earlier this year, I backed into one of the posts with the tractor and screwed up a couple of the lines, and we haven't had a chance to fix it yet. The fencing is not actually meant for the cats. It was meant for my husband's dogs. He used to have huskies. He had 5 huskies. So the fencing kept the huskies in and other critters out that the huskies would not then attack. But it is a nice deterrent when it's working. It keeps the cats in for the most part, except one. One has figured out how to tunnel under. And it just helps keep them safe, you know. But apparently all heck has broken loose here in the cat world. So I know this is not a podcast about cats. You wouldn't know it, but I'm a little exhausted already just from chasing her around before. Let's get into the knitting, shall we? Oh, I wanted to mention one thing real quick about Hurricane Irma. First of all, if you got hit by Hurricane Irma, I hope you are okay, and I hope you didn't sustain very much damage. I have a lot of friends in Florida as well as my mom. And my mom was actually out of town. She didn't come back till Monday. They got back Monday morning, which I thought was a horrible time to come back, but I guess most of the storm had passed where she was by then. And she said they did have like tons of water. There was a lot of water in the streets. They didn't have power when they got back, but nothing was really damaged. There was like some branches down, and she said the pool was a mess. I'm thinking, yeah, first world problems there. But anyway, she's fine. But thank you for asking. I know a lot of people expressed concern. But I have other friends who live in Florida, and of course Emma's in North Carolina. She didn't really get hit, though. I don't think she had bad weather. I haven't actually even talked to her since Irma went through. But so far it sounds like the people that I know were at least in areas where they didn't sustain horrible damage, so that's good. But I know some people really got walloped, so please know that I'm thinking about you guys. Anyway, let's get on with the knitting. When I recorded last week, because I recorded I think a gazillion times before I finally ended up with an episode I could put up, I totally forgot to show you a finished object in my final version. At least I think I forgot it, because I don't think I had it with me, because I ended up recording from my house, didn't I? Yes, I was back in the yellow room. Anyway, I have a scarf that I knit out of the Legends, Myths, and Fairy Tales yarn. Thought I'd let that really loud truck pass. The colorway for the Legends, Myths, and Fairy Tales Club from last month. And this was a sample that I had knit up for it, and I have still not remembered to post it in the group. I am sorry. I will do that soon, but this is what I knit up. This pattern is actually my pattern. It's called Undulate. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's one of the first patterns I ever wrote, but it's really nice because it's a ribbed pattern, but the ribs just kind of go back and forth. They undulate. And this was 1 skein of the DK weight, so it's not a super, super long scarf, and it hasn't had the ends woven in, but it's nice size for like tucking in the neckline of your collar. Anyway, the colorway was Lady of the Lake. because that was the legend that this was based on, Iara, which is from Brazil. So that was my only finished object a couple of weeks ago. I just never got to show it to you. Okay, so let's talk about what I did work on since I talked to you last. It's been not a lot because 4 of the last 7 days have been spent roofing. Me and Bill up on my roof, and I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later. But just say that those 4 days, they were 10 to 12 hour days, all 4 days. Once I got off that roof, I had no desire to knit, nor could I have even knit if I wanted to, because my arms and my hands, my whole body was just so tired. But yesterday and today, I did get some knitting done, so there's that. The Hero cardigan, I'm still diligently working on that. And so I have the sleeves both at the same spot. This was the first one I was working on. Here's the second. And this is a stitch that I found that I dropped at some point. Being the Let Lopey yarn, however, it doesn't go anywhere. But I did put a little marker in there, actually just more so that I would remember to stitch it in at some point than out of fear that it's going to run, because it's not going anywhere. Okay, so these are my sleeves. I think I'm up to 8 or 9 increases at this point, and I tried them on, so it'll go this way. So it's up to about the, fold in my elbow. And I like how it fits. It is a little snug, but it's okay. I like it to be snug down here at the cuff, which is why I modified it. I told you that last time. It's a little snugger here than I was really hoping it would be, but I think it'll be okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing my increases more quickly. I counted how many stitches I have on the needles. I have to go back to the pattern and see how many stitches I'm supposed to end with for the size that I'm doing, since I sized down my cuff significantly. So I'm going to have to get in more increases more quickly anyway. So I don't think that'll be a problem, but it is definitely fitting a little bit more snugly than I would usually go for that. But it's fine. Like, it'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. It's not uncomfortably tight or anything. So here it is. I really love it. I mean, I like the color work. I love this color. I can't wait to get the sleeves done though, so I can start working on the yoke. Yeah, so that's really, I know it's not very exciting. It's just gray knitting, but it's what I've done, and it's coming along. And like I said, I think it should fly at this point. My only problem that I'm really having is the fact that I'm doing this on 24-inch needle circulars. And so magic looping is a little tricky on these because this loop just kind of wants to embed itself. So I let it and then I pull it back out eventually, as long as I keep track of the increase side, the beginning of round where I'm doing my increases. That's the most important part. I don't know where, I know I have 32-inch circulars in size 7, but I have no idea where they're at. I can't find a lot of my needles. They're probably in projects. But anyway, other than that, it's going along just fine, and I'm enjoying it, and I really want to have it done. Okay, so that is my Hero cardigan. Hero is a pattern by Julia Farwell Clay, and again, the yarn is Let Lopey. I don't have the color numbers written down. It's a charcoaly gray, and then that kind of light turquoisey blue. I got that yarn from the Woolly Thistle, and I will try to be better about telling you what color numbers they are. They'll be in my project page though, if you want to know. Okay, another thing I worked on that is probably going to be getting ripped out is the socks that I was making for my son for Christmas. I am not having very good luck with this yarn. This is the Patton's Croix Effects that I started socks for him last year, not realizing it was a much heavier weight yarn. Maybe it's more traveled here than I realized. I don't hear this noise when I'm in the house. Like, it doesn't bother me. And I have the feeling this is going to be exceedingly loud on this recording because it's facing the camera. I apologize. I'm not going to re-record this week. I don't have time to. I will just nix the front yard as a location for recording in the future. It's just so nice out. I wanted to be outside. Okay, so anyway, last year, when we were on our trip to Canada, I had taken this yarn along with my usual US ones, and I cast on these socks in the tent the very first night on our canoe trip and realized I was getting bulletproof fabric. And so I didn't work on them anymore, which again, that was another situation where I was too tired by the end of the day to knit on anything anyway. So it worked out fine. So I ripped them out and I thought I'll retry them again later. So finally this year I decided, okay, I'm going to knit these socks for him for Christmas this year, or his birthday. His birthday is at the beginning of December. So I went up to US 1.5s because I'm pretty sure that's what I used for the last pair of patent Croy socks that I did. I thought, okay, 1.5s will be better. But I still cast on my usual 72 stitches for him. Look how huge this sock is. I mean, it could be a preemie cap. It could be a newborn cap. It's so big. This could fit a baby elephant. I mean, my son has big feet and thick calves, but this is ridiculous even for that. So, I don't know what to do. I like the yarn. I'm getting tired of starting and stopping projects in this yarn though. So, I guess my choices are to rip this out, and the fabric I'm getting actually is very nice. I like the fabric I'm getting on the 1.5s. So I guess my options are to rip this out and cast on fewer stitches, because I usually do his socks on 72 stitches, so I could do them on 64 stitches. And that should yield a better sized sock for him. Or I could rip them out and go up. Well, it wouldn't really matter to go up. I don't need to go up any more needle sizes. Yeah, it would just be a matter of ripping it out, starting over with fewer stitches. So I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. My only other option is ripping them out and starting over socks with a totally different yarn. I've got some West Yorkshire Spinners yarn in there, like some of the bird colorways. That would be fine for him. He would probably like them. I don't know if I have any of my own yarn, dyed yarn in my stash that I think he would like right now. Not like I couldn't dye him some, but I don't know. Add this to the fact that I am so like burnt out on knitting socks right now. I don't know. I've lost my sock mojo for the moment, so I don't know what to do. I think I'm just going to set these aside for right now. I mean, obviously they need to be ripped out because they're just way, way, way too big. But I just don't even know if I want to bother working with this yarn right now. I like the yarn. I love the colors, the way the colors have that gradation in them. And I like that it's a thicker yarn. I mean, they make for comfy socks. I haven't really... I'm sorry. I'm going to just pause when there's super, super loud cars because apparently there's a lot of them. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this yarn right now. So, I don't know. Stay tuned. I'll figure it out eventually. But since my main goals right now are to be knitting on sweaters for me and to be knitting on holiday gifts, the few that I'm committed to doing, the other project that I pulled out today that I have not worked on in a while, since early summer, is the bulky Afghan that I am making for my oldest son. I was working on it, I forget when I cast it on, before summer or late spring. Well, late spring is before summer. But then it just got way too hot to work on this during the summer. But here's where it's at now. I added, I think about 7 rows this morning because I ended on a pearl back row last time. So like ready to do a pearl back row. So that's why I did an uneven number of rows. This is going to go really fast if I just work on it, which I realize that's kind of the way anything works. But I did the math. It's 21 inches long right now. I'm aiming for 72 inches, which means it's about 30% done. I measured and I'm getting about I'm actually getting about 3 rows per inch on this. Earlier on I was getting about 4, but I've sort of purposely loosened up my tension because, you know, it bothers my hands to knit with this big yarn on these big needles for too long. I forget what size needles these are. I'm sorry. I think they're like 11s maybe. It's in the project page. But if I purposely loosen up my tension, my hands don't get tired as fast, so I can knit on it a little bit longer. So anyway, I did the calculations and I realized if I would knit 4 rows a day, I could have this thing done inside of 2 weeks. It would be super easy. So that may be a goal. I'd love to get this done that fast, because if I got this done that quickly, then I would feel much better about the other things that I have to do for the holidays, because one is a pair of socks that I committed to doing for this son's girlfriend, and then the other thing is obviously the socks that I was trying to knit for Christopher. If I don't knit him socks, I don't know. I need to knit him something. That's the thing. Emma and Christopher are both very knitworthy. They really enjoy knitted gifts, like knitted socks, and Christopher especially loves hand knit socks. So I feel like I should do that because I know he really appreciates them. And it's so funny because my oldest son, I don't know how much he really loves the hand knit gifts. I mean, I've knit him hats. I have knit him a couple pair of socks. But I don't know that he loves that stuff quite as much as Chris and Emma do. So, but I think he'll like the Afghan because it's a hug from Mom. And you're never too old for that. Anyway, this yarn, just as a reminder, here's one of the tags. This is, it's called All Things You Premium Acrylic Yarn that I got from Pat Catan's. It's very affordable, and it's yarn that I am not going to feel bad if one of their dogs eats. I've said that before. It's 100% acrylic. It's not a squeaky acrylic. It's a very soft, pleasant acrylic, because I could not be knitting this out of that older, squeaky kind of acrylic that, you know, that I started knitting on when I was a kid. That would be horrible. This is actually really, really nice. It's a soft feel. So hopefully he'll enjoy it. Okay, so those are the only things that I worked on this week, and those are probably, I mean, the sweater, the hero sweater, I'm definitely going to work on this week. This blanket, I'm definitely going to work on this week. I'm going to try to figure out what I want to do for socks for Chris, or if I'm going to re-knit those on a smaller number of stitches. I don't know. I got to figure that out, though, but I really feel like I need to be focused with whatever I'm going to do for gift knitting this year. Because I don't have a lot of time. I've got a really busy fall coming up, and I don't want to feel rushed at the end, you know, for gift knitting, because that's never fun. I am still thinking about doing the gift sewing. I want to make these big tote bags that I have an image in my head of how they're going to work out. Oh, there she goes again, up the tree. She loves climbing trees. My goodness. Okay. So, let's move on to the knit along, A Year in the Life of a Knitter. We are in September, which is our last month of the summer quarter again. I believe I've heard from almost all of the August prize winners. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 that I have not heard from. And I don't have my list with me. I don't know what happened to it. It may be back at my house. But I am going to just Rav message whoever I have not heard from yet, because there's only a few prizes left unclaimed for you to pick from anyway. So yeah, I will Rav message you, unless you think it might be, you know, if you took part and you haven't watched the prize winner video yet, you might want to do that and see if you're one of the winners. Anyway, I'm not going to rehash everything about September for the knit along, because that's all in the main knit along thread as well as the challenge thread, so that's there. I did want to mention that if you did watch the prize drawing video that I did last week, I made a comment about how I really felt like I needed to rethink how I was going to be doing the prizes for the winter quarter, and I've given that more thought. And quite honestly, last week I was just really, really overwhelmed because when I first conceived the idea for this year-long knit-along, I thought about it and I considered knit-alongs that I've done before, which I've never done one this long before. But, you know, based on the participation and the chatter that had taken place in past knit-alongs, I judged how much participation we would probably have on a monthly basis for this one. And then I gauged it up a little bit just to be safe. So I was figuring, you know, I would probably be giving away like 4 or 5 prizes a month. And then the other thing was I figured, well, as the year went on, I kind of was afraid people would get bored with it, and then maybe, you know, participation would decline over time. But still, that's what I was counting on, was those 4 or 5 prizes a month. So to my surprise, and it's good, you know, participation has increased over time, and that's a wonderful thing because that means that our community is thriving in this knit-along, and I couldn't be happier about that. My hesitation last week when I was thinking about this prize stuff is the fact that, you know, I had earmarked certain things to have as prizes for this month. Hi, Max. Another country is heard from down here, one of our big fuzzy kitties. Yeah, I had earmarked like certain things that I knew I would be using as prizes, and then I knew I would collect more along the year. Well, at this point, I'm sort of scrambling, and my biggest fear is I don't want people to feel like I am not offering prizes that are worthwhile. Because I know if I'm giving away full skeins of yarn and then another prize is just a pattern, there's a huge value difference in that, and I recognize that, but I obviously I cannot give away 12 skeins of yarn. I can't do that. And I guess I was talking to a friend about this too, and you know, they know how I'm operating the drawings and everything, and how it's, you know, like you send your list and you get your first 5 choices or top choices or whatever. And so they said, well, you know, it is fair because that way everybody has the opportunity to watch when you put the podcast up. And I know realistically you don't, because not everybody can watch the podcast as soon as it goes up. But you have the option of, you know, getting your choices in as soon as possible. So you can get like the yarn prizes or the bigger prize or the prize that really, really strikes your fancy. And I guess in theory that is correct. I don't know. This might be me thinking this way too much. Yeah, I don't know. But basically what I have decided is I am not going to change the way I am doing anything for this knit-along as far as how I'm going to do the prizes. I've committed to doing this year-long knit-along, and I set up how I was going to do that and how I was going to issue prizes, offer one for every 50 comments in the comment thread, the chatter thread, and then have one extra so that, you know, there's always a choice. And I'm going to continue to do that. I decided I would feel bad if I changed the game plan partway through the year. So that is how we're going to do it. I'm going to chalk this up to being a learning experience, and I will probably do things, sorry, little gnats, I'll do things a little bit differently in the future if I ever do a big year-long knit-along or any knit-along. I mean, I've learned a lot through doing this one. But I don't in any way want to dissuade you guys from continuing to post in the chatter thread and take part in the knit-along chatter, because it's just been really, really enjoyable to see all of that, and to, even when I'm too busy to actively take part in it all the time, I love reading through it. It makes me very happy that you guys are having fun with it. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that nothing's changing. I've had time to think about it and come down from my overwhelm. So, other than that, I think that's it for 90% this week. I don't have anything new to show you. The only new thing in my world is my roof. And that takes us to 10%. That was the big ordeal last weekend. Friday through Monday, we were on my roof. Friday, we had perfect weather, by the way. We were watching the weather specifically when we were planning when we were going to do this. these cars. I really hope when I listen to this, this is not horrible with the sound. I'll try to, maybe there's a way that I can, I don't know. I've never tried editing sound. I edit the video occasionally, but I don't, like picture, but I've never had to edit sound before. Anyway, yeah, it was a perfect weekend weather-wise. It was in the 60s. There was a nice breeze most of the time. Monday got a little warm. It was up into the 70s on Monday, and it was quite sunny. Plus, we were working on the front half of my roof, which is the side that gets most of the sun. I did get a little sunburnt that day. I know you can't really tell in this because I'm very blown out, but I actually kind of looked like I was on vacation in some tropical paradise because I'm fairly tan now. Anyway, so yeah, Friday we tore the shingles off the back half of my roof and put down the new paper. It's actually not paper anymore. It's like this plastic stuff, like a heavy-duty kind of woven plastic. It was interesting. And the new drip edge and all that. And then on Saturday, we did the same thing on the front half of the roof. Then Sunday, we shingled the back half of the roof. And Monday, we shingled the front half of the roof. And pretty much we didn't have any problems. It was great. It all went according to plan. I would say the only hitch that happened was on Friday before we started, we were talking about, how we were disposing of the old shingles, which we had purchased 4 of those big dumpster bags, those big green dumpster bags, that they then come and they'll pick up with like this crane attachment on this truck. Well, we didn't know. I say we loosely because I wasn't in charge of this. This was Bill. He hadn't considered the clearance necessity for picking the bags back up. And we have, at my house, there's lines, electric lines. Actually, the lower lines are like the communications lines. But they're only like 16 feet off the ground, and we needed 18 foot of clearance. And so I was getting a little freaked out because I'm like, this isn't going to work, because we've had issues in the past with delivery people and stuff even getting hung up on these lines. And so, and the other thing was, we were going to have to dump all these shingles off the roof into the small tractor wagon that I have from my tractor, cart them up to the top of my driveway, which is a hill, and then, offload them into this dumpster bag, which was going to be a lot of extra work. And so I said to him, I'm like, why don't we look into a dumpster? Because we had originally talked about getting a dumpster and then just nixed it because it was super expensive. But that was through my actual garbage company. What I didn't realize is there's lots of independent companies who rent dumpsters for your driveway. There's actually a place called Driveway Dumpsters. And that's who I ended up calling because I found really good reviews about them locally, the local driveway dumpsters place. I called the guy. It was like, I don't know, 7:30 in the morning. And he's like, yeah, I can have one out there this morning. The price was half what my actual garbage service company wanted for one. And he put it right in my driveway. That was the other thing. A lot of places wouldn't put it in the driveway because it's on a slope. He's like, oh yeah, that's no problem. It's not that big of a slope. Like, awesome. So it was perfect. So I have this small dumpster in my driveway. We were able to just dump the shingles into the dumpster from the roof. It was so much easier than it was going to be with those stupid bags. So that worked out really, really well. Yeah, other than that, the only other snafu was I impaled myself with old nails twice. The one time it was just I stepped on one in the driveway because no matter how careful you are, roofing nails just seem to fly everywhere when you're doing a roof project. But I did have like heavy work boots on, so it mostly went through my boot. It did poke my foot a little bit, but not nearly as much as it could have. But the first day, whenever we were removing the shingles on the first half of the roof, I was sitting on the roof and I was there's this tool that you use. It's like a shovel, but it's got serrated teeth on it that helps lift the nails up. So I was sitting on the roof and I was doing that, and I was working my way down, and I was trying to be careful because I knew there were some loose nails on the roof. And so I kind of scooched down the roof, not realizing that there was a nail underneath where I had been sitting, like underneath my leg. And so I scooched and I immediately felt this poke in the back of my leg. And I thought, crap, there's a nail there. So I reached back to grab it. And then I realized I couldn't grab it easily. And I thought, oh, it actually went through my jeans. And then I went to pull it out and realized, oh no, oh no. It is not just through my jeans. It was in my leg. Now, obviously, as opposed to the one in the driveway that went like this into my shoe, this one went like this, so it went in. I'm sorry if this is grossing anybody out. I should have like put up a warning. I won't get too graphic. But yeah, that's how it went into my leg. And I'm standing there and I think I literally said, oh no. And Bill was working on the other half of that side of the roof, and he looked over and he's like, what's the matter? And I said, I've impaled my leg with a nail. And he looked at me and he's like, do you want me to take it out? And at that point, like in my head, I'm thinking it's going to be really hard to get these jeans off later if you don't. And it was really in there. Like, I was not going to pull this out. And I said, yes, please. Yes. So he comes over and I'm standing there and he's like, wow, it's really in there. I'm like, just take it out. And the thing about my husband is that he's one of those people who, like, if he has to take a Band-Aid off, he takes it off really slowly, even though it makes it hurt worse to rip it off. And so that's what he was going to do with this nail. He's like, and I'm like, no. I said, you take that thing out in one fell swoop, just fast, pull it out fast. And so he finally did. Oh my gosh. So I'm like, I'm going to go inside for a little bit. And I did. I went inside and washed it off, and then I got online to my doctor's office, to my online medical records, to verify that my tetanus shot was still good, and it was. It was like 7.5 years out. So I did actually call the doctor's office because I'm like, okay, even though it's 7.5 years and they're good for 10 years, I want to double check and make sure this type of wound is still okay for 10 years. And it was, although that conversation with the woman who answered the phone was kind of funny. She's like, you did what? Like, what? Did you get shot with a nail gun? No. I said, oh no, that would be horrible. As if this wasn't horrible enough. So anyway, it's fine. It's healing. I don't think I have tetanused myself in any way. But yeah, that was it. I was the only one who really sustained injuries. Although I'll tell you what, all 4 days, by the time we were done, Bill and I were both so sore and so tired. And we're both like walking around like Frankenstein, can't bend our knees right and everything. That's a lot of work bending over like that so much. On a happy note though, none of what I did hurt my back. Like, my lower back actually feels better now than it did before we started this. Everything else hurts. But I think just all that bending that I was doing, because I was the one manning the nail gun, the pneumatic nail gun a lot of the time. And so it involved a lot of bending, and not only bending, but like when you're putting the shingles on, you start from the bottom and work your way up, and you don't really want to step on the new shingles, so you're above where you're working, so you're always bending over, but you're really bending over because you have to bend further. And I guess I could have been on my knees, but my knees were killing me, even though I had really good knee pads on, so I preferred to stand. Anyway, so we have, the whole roof is shingled. You can go to my personal Instagram account and see the photo montage that I've posted there about this. I'm not going to put them in the podcast because you're probably not that interested, but I did post pictures, probably more for my own sake than anything else, just because I felt like if we got to places... Hi, Max. If we got to a point where I felt like it was worth taking a picture, then in my brain that felt like we were making progress. So anyway, the only thing we have left to do is we have to put the ridge vent in, which we will do this weekend, and we have to do my back porch roof yet, but it's small, so that'll easily get done this weekend. So it was a good project. I can't wait till all the crap is cleaned up out of my yard now so I can actually weed my flower beds, because I gave up on them earlier this summer and they just look horrendous. I would like my house to look nice. Bill doesn't understand why I'm even going to bother with it since it's fall, but I'm like, no, I cannot leave all those weeds in there. They look terrible. So anyway, that was my roofing escapade for this past weekend. It went well. And I have a new roof now for far less than it would have cost to pay somebody else to do it. So, okay, let's move on to shop news after this next large truck passes. There we go. Okay. The summertime knit-along winners, I have heard from everybody. So if you have prizes coming to you either from that or from the August A Year in the Life drawings, those will be getting out to you. I have not mailed them yet. I was kind of waiting till I heard from everybody so I could do them all at once, but they are going to be on their way. I also wanted to mention that you have until the end of September to post any Fiber Nymph Dye Works related finished objects in the 3rd quarter finished object thread in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Ravelry. And then the first podcast of October, I will do a drawing for a $25 gift certificate to the shop. I also want to remind you of where I'll be vending this fall. I will be vending in October at the Rags Fiber Affair and Wool Festival in Delmont, PA at the Fire Hall. And that is on Saturday, October 21st from 10 to 3. I vended there for the first time this past April, and it was a fabulous show. So if you are all local, I would highly recommend you coming out for that. So just a very, very nice show. Lots of local farms have their wool there, which is nice. So come and check it out. And then in November, I will be at Indie Knit and Spin, which is my favorite show ever to vend at. I love that show. That is Saturday, November 11th from 10 to 4. At the Wilkins School Community Center in the Regent Square area of Pittsburgh, which is in the East End, the east side of Pittsburgh. So again, if you're in the area or within a reasonable driving distance, please stop by, because that show is going to be even better this year, I think, than it's been. It's expanding, so we have more room, more vendors. It'll be great. So I hope I see you at one of those if you are local enough to Pittsburgh to make the trip. I will not be doing a shop update this week. Again, I will reference you back to 4 days of roofing and nothing else. But I am planning to have one next Friday. So that's the 22nd at 6 p.m. I cannot believe next week will already be the 22nd of September and the first day of autumn. The first official day. That's the equinox, right? The autumnal equinox. Yeah. Crazy. This month is flying by too quickly. I have lots to do. But I did want to point out that the Overcome skeins that I had in the shop last week for raising funds for hurricane relief. First of all, if you purchased any of those, thank you so much. All of the skeins of Bounce and Bedazzled sold out. There are still a few of the sock blanks. However, this morning I added pre-order listings to the shop for more of the Overcome skeins. So there's a limited number of those. I think I put up 10 of each for Bounce and Bedazzled. So if you weren't able to get one last week, but you would still like to purchase one, there are more. And I'm still donating $5 for out of each skein that is purchased that will go towards the Salvation Army's help, the relief efforts for both Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma now. From those skeins. I will probably wait until all of those are gone to make the donation, but once I do, I will do what I always do and post a picture of the donation receipt so that you know that your money actually did go where I said it was going to go. I will probably be adding some Dyer's Secret stash stuff up to the shop this week. I have been collecting that over the months. I usually wait till I have a nice stash of it, and then I add it all at one time. Plus, I did a pop-up show, or a pop-up shop during our local yarn crawl last month, and I have some leftovers from that, that the shop where my stuff was decided not to hang on to. So I'm going to go through that. Some of it I'm probably going to keep for my show inventory because that's actually where I took it out of originally. But some of that will also be going into the shop this week. It's not enough to be an official update, but if you want to watch the shop or get the updates for that, you can subscribe to the RSS feed on the shop and you will get notified when anything new goes in, or just, check it out. It should all be up there by Friday though, if you want to take a look at that. I will, next week when I do the update, I will have more of the Halloween color, the new Halloween colorways. The cat is attacking my butt underneath the chair. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the Halloween spookles, you guys love that. Thank you so much. I hope to have more of the Halloween spookles colorway, and I will do up more of the Just Spookles if those sell out as well. And I'm planning to have more fall and Halloween colorways for the shop next week as well, as I can get those dyed up. And then lastly, because I'm a Pro Shop sponsor for the Down Cellar Studio Pigskin Party again this year, which is her Jen's big football knit-along. So that runs through, I think it began last Thursday, which was the first night of regular season Thursday night football, and it runs through the day after the Super Bowl. I'm a Pro Shop sponsor for that, so if you're taking part in that, you get extra points if you knit using any of my yarn. So that's pretty cool. And I am developing an exclusive colorway for the Pigskin Party again this year. I've actually not done it for the Pigskin Party before. I did it for the Splash Pad Party this summer, but I'm going to be doing one for the Pigskin Party. I feel like I'm a little bit late to the game, but because we were on vacation and life's been a little crazy the first half of the month, I'm only getting it dyed up this week. But those will be in the shop by the end of the week as well. I'm hoping to have those colorways already dyed up as opposed to having them be pre-orders, but I may end up doing some pre-orders for those as well. So if you are taking part in the Pigskin Party, you can be looking for those in the shop. And I think that's everything. I'm going to go because Tippy is making me crazy. I'm just watching her fly around here. I have to try to catch her and take her in the house. I know it's probably a moot point at this point since she's figured out how to get out, but she needs a nap, that little kitten. And I've got a lot of dyeing to get done the rest of today. So I'm going to go in and get this processing. I, again, apologize for all of the vehicular noise behind me. I won't record from this spot again, but I'm not re-recording today's episode, even though the lighting is very blown out and the sound quality was probably not fabulous. I'll do better next week, I promise. Otherwise, take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.